right. Well, thanks again. Once again, we are lucky to be joined by a diverse group of top producers here in the Peak and Thurston family, and we'll be sharing. We called this one "Why Didn't I Think of That?" because sometimes it's just those obvious or natural things, and sometimes it's those things that help us stretch, that make us see what we're capable of and see what we can achieve when we find the right resources, and that's really what we're going to be aiming to do today. And some of it's exploratory, right? And we're going to talk about things that we're trying and checking out and seeing what might work. So real quickly, I know that many of you know some of these folks up on the panel, but I'm going to go run through Mike Kaflick and Russ Gazer. They're up from very important members of the financial guys up in Buffalo, New York. They're well known. I think, Mike, are you the OG Social Security claiming strategist? But they do a lot of work on the retirement planning side. They'll be talking about something that they have just made some heavy strides in there. Let's see, we've got Denise Nostrom next to me, owner of Diversified Financial Solutions, aka the Financial Chick on Long Island, and and we'll be talking about a lot of her engagement in the community and networking and the things that she's done to really expand her reach and also build her team. And then we've got Ed Patzer, founder and owner of the Patzer Group up in Indiana. He is, as I maybe mentioned yesterday, one of our first timers, new to the Thurston family. And he is really in the discovery phase of what ancillary things are going to enhance the services that they provide to their clients. So we'll kind of flutter around here, but Mike and Russ, I think we'll start with you first. So last year, I think, and I would love for you to start at the beginning, which is how you found the resource. But last year, you guys engaged on a journey to actually publish a book and see if you could share your expertise in maybe a different way, gain some credibility. Russ, was it authority marketing? Is that what you called it?
That's right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you started and what resources you used? I know, and I'm looking at one in front of me. Advisors have come to me in the past and said, I've got this book company and they've told me that they can, kind of push a book out for me, but that's a little bit, sometimes a little sketch, right? So talk to us about that process.
Sure. I'll start. It's been about 10 years that I've been in this retirement income planning space, Social Security claiming strategies. And I mean, it literally goes back to like September, October of 2015. And so I really embraced the idea of becoming a specialist versus a generalist because I was a career changer. And I said, how on earth am I going to do good things for like Mike Lomas, Glenn Wiggle, already rock stars in our industry? And they're so good at what they do. How am I going to make a difference? So Mike Lomas and I decided I will become a specialist in Social Security claiming strategies. And I did. But that was the beginning. And then doing workshops regularly. And, I think really getting in front of people and helping them, it really inspired me to do more and more and more. But as we all know, and we've heard a lot of that, the idea of time and how much time do you really have and what's the focus going to be in your life. And I realized I can only do so much. So thankfully I met this guy, and Russ and I think decided, we can really take this to even better and bigger levels. And the whole idea of authority marketing, I'll let Russ expand on, but writing a book just has allowed us to get our message into so many more hands. And it literally has just taken a life of its own, but we'll go deeper into that, I guess.
Yeah. So authority marketing to me, and when Mike kind of approached me and all of this was, you find a niche and something that you're really passionate about and good at and how you can really help clients to the max. And so Mike and I, a lot of what we do is we attract clients through education and doing Social Security workshops with folks. And I was thinking, how do we really take that to another level? How do we get in front of people? Yes, number one, and let them see us and the information that they need, but they're only with us for like an hour. And so how can we really let that permeate through them and let that message continue to resonate? And so last year, as we were doing some strategic planning, we made a goal of writing a book. And of course, we just Matt was just talking about giving yourself some more time. So who has time to write a book? You might have good intentions in doing so, but about three-quarters of the way through the year, we found that we only wrote about 2,500 words, and we were kind of writing it independently, and it wasn't ultra coherent. And so I started researching ways and people to help us through the process. And it was there that we found Paul McManus, an expert with financial advisors, and getting a book and the idea and the concept onto paper, and then launching it, and then carrying that through and marketing the book from there. And we actually learned about him through Libby Greiwe, ironically, that she was talking earlier today. So that's kind of where it all started and how it led us to actually put it on paper.
Yeah, so we had a conversation earlier about the process, right? And getting the content on paper, and then the launch strategy. I'd like to just kind of hone in on that a little bit, and how that went, and then how quick we went from launch to impact and results.
So, yeah, I think, all of us, I think, have moments where we say, I just don't have time to do that, right? It's really just that you didn't really prioritize or get to know a process to get something done. That's what I found. And when we met Paul, it started right with like this big questionnaire, well, who's your audience? And, what message do you want to share? Why is it so meaningful that people need to know what you both know? And from there, it literally was just locking in, and hours upon hours, but doing something like that together was really fun. It was actually, I laugh now thinking that we collaborate all the time. We do a lot of things together, and there's a great synergy. And then we decide we're going to break up the duties to write a book and basically be independent again, trying to get half of a book written and put it all together. It was just so funny now that I think about our attempt, but now I'm so proud of the outcome of what we did. So, I mean, we ended up doing a lot of Zoom recordings, like literally every week for 12 weeks. And they were a couple hours each, and it just kept getting closer and closer to getting all the content done. Then a lot of editing and a lot of editing. And finally, we have a book published on January 1st, and then the fun of it begins. I thought, wow, we're done. Thank goodness. Now we're back to our practices and meeting people and doing what we do. But it's really taken a life of its own since then.
I think the hardest part too, at least from what Paul had told us, for people that engage him, is really finding the content and the niche. Luckily, we already had that down, and we knew exactly what we want. We had all the book chapters laid out. We had everything. So it was just tweaking that. In a lot of time, again, through Zoom. So it was a 12-week process. Probably we would meet an hour a week with them, and you get assigned a book coach that helps. She's actually was an expert in our field, and then so she could speak our language. Really impactful. Nancy is her name. No, most of the work happened after that, and Mike and I really rereading the scripts that we wrote in the rough draft, and then kind of forming that message through those hour-long sessions with Nancy. But once we had the book published, and we published it through Amazon, you publish the book, but the biggest strategy was creating this excitement around what we call the hard launch of the book. And so we found our top, between the two of us, 80 clients. And we called them, and those that have actually been through our process before, we said, hey, would you be willing to participate in the soft launch of our book? And we'll mail you a copy. We'd love for you to read it. And in 2 weeks, we'll follow up with you to get your feedback. And what we were doing is we were building that excitement, but we were also collecting and recording testimonials for the book from live clients who have walked through our process, who can vouch for us specifically. And so that was a really key piece of the whole thing, is getting that client buy-in, because now they're starting to talk about the book with their friends and family. They're excited about being part of the process, and it paid dividends that led up to then the hard launch of our book in February 1st to become a bestseller. So we're actually best-selling authors of our book Beyond Breaking and stuff. It was really thanks to our clients in the process specifically, and not deviating from the process. Because when they told me, hey, this is what you should be doing, calling all these clients, I'm like, well, where am I going to get the time to call 40 people and then talk to them for another 10 minutes? And he said, Russ, just do it. Okay.
Super enlightening too. To get
Jared,
feedback from
can you advance the slide so we can? I will. You guys shared a QR code with us, so if folks are interested in taking a look, it's super exciting. Proud. We had to brag about you once we got the news. And Good News Friday, of course. But you also we had the conversation about the marketing funnel that it creates. So maybe we can switch gears a little bit and talk about going from launch and achieving that type of status to how are you pulling that through, and what's that mean to you guys?
Sure. Well, the book is great to have, and it makes us proud. It is available online, but we don't want just people to buy our book. We'd like to talk to them, and of course. And so we developed a landing page, and it's beyondbreakevenbook.com. And it's still getting worked on. It's coming along. It's almost there, but that's like I said, the journey has really kind of continued since January 1st, because we want that to be perfect, and we want it to be really easy to understand. We don't want, I think someone earlier this week used the word friction. We don't want any friction when people are thinking, hey, I think I need that book. Let me see how I can get it. Well, they also might want to have a consultation. So we're building off this website, this landing page, and it's really been fun because more and more people go to that landing page, and you're giving them the options of either getting a flip book, a PDF, an audio book that Russ and I recorded. We sort of alternated chapters for that. And then they can also just go right out to Amazon if they'd like. So we're trying to make everything very easy. But of course, we want their name, their email, and their phone number so we can follow up and then begin a drip campaign, which I know Russ can speak far more fluently on than me.
It's interesting. So we use the book in a couple ways. Again, it's all about that authority marketing. So we give it to every workshop participant. We do direct mail. We actually pop it on the direct mailers now. People like getting free things, and we're not really big in buying dinners for people. That's just not how we operate. So we say, hey, if you actually register and then attend our workshop, you'll get a copy of our #1 best-selling book, as a thank you for attending. And so those that come to the workshop, they get the book. They then read the book and get another couple hours of the content we literally just delivered to them. And our booking rates, although this is an anecdotal number, have pretty much doubled from our workshop, just giving the book out. And so that's the idea: get people in front of us. So that's been helpful. The other thing is with the website, people consume content in different ways. So the audio book is really important. We have a PDF flipbook version of it. And so the easiest way for them to consume through our website, they can get it for free. They enter their information, their first name, their phone number, their email. They're entered into that drip campaign, and it brings them to a separate page. Everything free about the book, and then of course they can buy the book as well. The thing is, when they buy the book from Amazon, we don't know who they are or who's buying, and so that's how we kind of lead them through the process to collect that information. Because it's not necessarily about the book sales; it's about helping these people and getting in front of them. That's our the most profound impact we can make in their lives. So
Awesome. Well, congratulations again. And I would ask one last thing, and that is any words of advice or encouragement for your peers who may think that this is a path that they would go down.
Yeah, I think first you have to ask yourself, do you have a message? Like, is there something that's just so profoundly important to you to spread? Like, what words toward prospective clients do you have? If you don't, I go back to becoming a specialist. It's hard to compete against lots of others in our industry just on being the kind of the do all and can do everything for you kind of person. I know I can't. So I think becoming a specialist, having a message that you want to share, and then, I always would use this phrase, are you just interested in this, or are you committed to it? And you have to have a level of commitment toward what you're doing, right? How you're helping people. So I think Russ and I really do. We always taught people we're really nerdy when it comes to all this stuff. We really love it. We talk a lot about it. Not only in front of clients, but offline too. So again, have a message that you really are committed to sharing, and then get help. Don't think you have to do it alone. I mean, could I have done a book by myself? I don't know. I think it's daunting to think I would do it myself. Could Russ and I do it together? It seemed kind of difficult, even though we were thinking we're going to share the duties. By getting a guy like Paul McManus to help, I mean, I don't know. It was just game changing for us to have a professional who did it, who's done it, continues to do it. To get the book actually done, we needed Paul. So yeah, I think that's how I would approach it.
Yeah, a process, right? Yeah. Yeah. Thanks a lot, guys.
You're welcome.
We'll switch gears and talk for our friend Denise here. As many of you know, for years Denise has taken the time and put in the effort to build a community around her. So whether it's with your power organization, which you can chat about a bit, or engaging in scholarship programs and internship programs, your radio show, there's just a sense of building a community around you so you have multiple resources, right? Is that sort of the genesis of that thing is on? Let's see. Why don't you just grab first a second? There you go. Sharon,
Okay.
Sharon.
No. Although I have a loud mouth, you probably can't hear me anyway. But so a couple of things. Years ago, when I was with Next Financial Group, one of the presidents of the broker dealer, Gordon D'Angelo, he started this group called Power of Women Exchanging Resources. And I was up in New York, and this was down in Virginia Beach. And he flew me down there and said, why don't you check out this program and see if it would be something. What do you think? I want to get your opinion. So I thought it was great. He had an event and he had an elected official there, and invited women, and it was just a women's networking organization. So when I went back to New York, he goes, "You should start one up in New York." So no offense to the Ben, but I said, "Okay, great." I said, "So what should I do? Like, what steps should I take?" He's like, "You'll be fine. Just do it." And I'm like, okay, great. So that was kind of a benefit, because in a way I didn't have to follow a protocol. I kind of could make it my own, but I had no idea what the heck I was doing. So I just really, I winged it. I don't know, whatever I did, that's what I did. But so my Spanish teacher from high school had written a book, and she was my first speaker. So we got a room in a hotel, and I invited people, clients or friends, and we just started the process of networking. Now, I had gone to other networking events, and I don't know, some of them were very, I'm not a pushy person. I'm really shy. No, I'm not shy, but I'm not like pushy, So the people that walk around and like shoot the business card in your face, and then they talk to you in 5 seconds and they're off, it's like speed dating. I'm like, you're not getting my money or my insurance. There was no, it was insincere, and it was just ridiculous. So I said, I'm going to create this environment. Now, I did it for women. We love men too, but it just happens to be the niche that we're doing. But we have a big annual event that's for men and women too. I'll talk about. So I just said I wanted something that was going to be embracing. And the thing that we constantly hear is that we always felt welcome. So everybody gets, introduction. You don't have the cliques like a lot of these bigger organizations. Like if you're not in the main clique, you go to these networking things and you never really get into the circle. And you go there and you meet a few people, but it's just, I don't know, very insincere. So what I tried to do was make it a little bit different. So 13 years later, we're still rocking it. And we do networking. And what we do is we try to elevate small women business owners, and just try to help them to be part of the community. And again, I never do these things because I want to get things. I kind of do it because I want them and I enjoy it. But what has happened over the 13 years that I've gotten this is that now, I'm power. So women business owners will, and they know that I do this, but then what's my other hat? Well, I'm a financial advisor, and I manage money, and I help people, obtain their goals. So it's kind of been a thing that like, I don't have to really go out to seek people. Now, over all this time, they're coming to me. And, like something will happen like, oh my God, I just got an inheritance. I have to talk to you. So it's kind of a different way of networking where you're not in a person's face. And I'm not a big seminar person. I just, I don't know. I don't really, I did that back in my day in the career, and the cold calling and all that kind of stuff. I've been in the industry. Well, my business will be 29 years. I've been independent for 29 years next month on May 26th, which is like insane. I'm 30. But anyway, no. So, but the beauty of it is that, I like that fact that I joined other organizations too. I'm in the town of Brookhaven, our local town, the Women's Advisory Board, and we're like a sister organization of Dress for Success. So there, like earlier in the year, I started my January. I didn't have to do anything. They just said, "Listen, we want to do kick off the new year. Be financially powerful." And I went in. All I had to do was bring my flash drive. I walked in with some materials, and I did a seminar. It didn't cost me a dime, and it was my target market. It was women. That I like to work with women. I mean, I work with everybody, but that I feel that a lot of women need assistance, and they love men too, but a lot of times they will like to work with women. Some people like to do that. So it's those types of things that that kind of brought me into the fray.
And so how do you incorporate those relationships into some of the other parts of your practice, like your visibility on your radio show and things like that?
Well, everything is kind of interconnected. It's kind of interesting. So on the radio show, I tell folks we have 3 layers of membership. So we have student membership, we have individual, and we have business. We call them business supporters. And I tell the business supporters they pay a little bit more for their annual membership, but I tell them you have the opportunity to come on my radio show, and you can talk about your business. And I don't charge them or anything like that. But what's interesting too, again, SEO and all of these other things, I do a FaceTime or Facebook Live when I do my show. So not only are people can get on the radio, if they're in the local listening area, they can go on an app to watch me, or if they're on Facebook, which most people are, they'll get an alert notification like, oh, my show is coming on, and I'm drive time on Long Island on Fridays. But I go live every Friday from 5:30 to 6. So it's kind of good thing people are either driving home, they're having dinner, and it's just so interesting. Like clients from New Jersey to be like, we sit down, me, my wife and my daughter, and we eat dinner and we listen to your show. And I'm like, really? Because radio is so interesting. Like I know who's in the audience here, but in the radio, I have no idea who's listening at all. So a lot of it is very interrelated, and you kind of almost become a celebrity. We have a boat, and we were over at Fire Island, and my friends are always like, oh, it's a financial chick, and a guy we had his across the way, and he goes, oh my God, you're the financial chick? I'm like, he's like, I listen to your show. I'm like, really? Like, like I still get shocked. I've been doing it for 5 years now, but I'm just still like, it's just funny. I do it because I like it. It's fun. But then there's all this other stuff happens. That's kind of fun too.
Yeah. One last thing I want to pick your brain on, and I think Jess spoke of it yesterday as well, and that is finding talent, right? And bringing in interns and things like that. You have a couple of ways that you do that, and some success stories, right?
So I have a good relationship with my high school. I'm back in the town that I grew up in. I moved away and then I came back. And a couple of years ago, some of you that were here, I was also inducted into the Hall of Fame of my high school for my, I was a coach and, the work that I do with school, business owner, and all these other crazy things. But so I'm good with I'm very close with the business teachers there. So I go in and I evaluate CTE programs, the new STEM program. So they bring in people for the business community. So by doing that, you really get to obviously meet a lot of people and know a lot of people. And also I'm part of the internship program. So every year I have at least one intern that comes into my office that's seeking out a financial career in the future, potentially. They're young, but they could do that. I learn just as much from them as they learn from me, but it's so cool to teach them. And it's really eye-opening too, because you realize, even if you want to put in an envelope, they don't know where the stamp goes. And so you really teach them a lot of different things, not only the stocks and bonds, but that kind of stuff too. But, and it was still very interesting. So scholarships. So actually, Jared, if you want to just go where it says media. And if you just scroll down. So I've been doing this scholarship program at my high school, I don't even know for how many years, I think probably about 10. And what I do is I have the students, they have to write an essay about what they feel they can do, like how they could change the financial world and how they can make an impact. And so, my team, we all like read these scholarships, and then I award two $1,000 scholarships to students. So just a funny story. So I was going for my pistol permit a couple of years ago in New York, which is not an easy task. And so I had to go to the police station. So I sat down with the guy, and he's asking me all these questions, or the cop, I should say, asked me all these questions. And he says, "Oh, Diversified Financial Solutions." He's like, I know that company. I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's cool." He's like, "But wait." He goes, "You know what?" He goes, my son got one of your scholarships." He goes, "I can't thank you so much. Like, I was so thankful. And like my son always talks about it." And he goes, "Can he come and talk to you?" So it's things that you do that you never know how it's going to circle around and change and, make an impact on somebody's life.
And you just brought on one of your interns full time.
I had two interns from two different high schools. So that was kind of through my power organization. We also give scholarships to two other high schools. It's very complicated. I do a lot of stuff. We can talk later. But the bottom line is that, so I had an intern from my local high school and then an intern from another high school. She's a senior, just got accepted to Cornell, cream of the crop. And so she was an intern, but I made her an employee. And because she was that good. So she's going to, work over the summer, working with Raymond James. We had a lot of projects to move over to First Clearing. And yeah, so it's good. And I feel like as much as they, help me, I help them, and it's a win-win. And it's good. It's
Awesome. Awesome. Denise, thanks so much. Thanks so much. All right, we'll round it out here with Ed, the newbie on the block, so to speak. Came over in December of 24. So, of course, transition, and there's, always, that's no small feat, right? So took the time to get through that, he and his team, and now are really making an effort to explore what those next things are going to be that they're able to introduce to their clients. You've done some research. You and your team, your son, have been exploring a couple of opportunities. Why don't you talk about what the focus was?
Okay. Tess? Center? Well, as Regina said, we joined recently, December 6th. We've got through the transition. One of the main reasons that we decided to make a move, I was at Wells Fargo Advisors Financial Network, Finet, been in the industry 45 years. But as we have our meetings with clients, life is complicated. And what our goal is to try to simplify our clients' lives. Some of the challenges, I had a client that didn't come to the annual meeting because every year we ask if you have your estate planning done, and he didn't have it done. So he didn't come to the annual meeting because he didn't want to tell me again that he didn't have estate planning done. And we have a referral list for CPAs, clients that need CPAs. CPAs aren't taking additional clientele. Good clients, they're not accepting. And the biggest challenge I have in my personal life is my insurance. I own two businesses and I own two homes, and to figure out all the insurances surrounding all of that, I'm just uncomfortable. Do I really have what I need, or are there things that I have that I don't need? And so those three areas we're trying to focus on to see if we can help clients. On the CPA side, within Thurston Springer, there is Bristol Lane. And so we are vetting that circumstance. There are 22 professionals there, CPAs. They have the capabilities to do business with clients all across the country. I have a license in 35 states. And so we have clientele all across the country. And that would be extremely beneficial. We've also talked to our local CPA, and we're considering a joint venture with them. But it's been tax season, so we really haven't had any real serious conversation with them. But that's the CPA side. On the taxation side, very interesting. In our opinion, that was going to be one of the most challenging areas we felt to be able to create additional revenue, because we want to try to at least cover our costs associated with all these additional services. And if we could make money, that would be terrific as well. But on the estate planning side, we felt that was going to be the biggest challenge. Working with the attorneys, they're probably not going to share their revenue with us. And in talking to the folks at Thurston Springer, um, we found a contact called wealth.com, which is actually the gentleman has created. Um, and it is an AI process associated with estate planning. And in all honesty, I think that's probably where estate planning is going, even in the attorney's office for the most part. Most of the documents are boilerplate anyway. But I really believe that AI is going to play a very, very large role in the estate planning process. And so this wealth.com, we had a conversation with them. Their cost is $5,000 per advisor within the unit. They have given us access to that for this year. One of the first things we did is I was in the middle of updating my estate plan. I put mine through the process. They will do an evaluation of what your estate plan is. One of the things I always wondered was, did my attorney really put in what I told him to put in? Does it really work? And so I put mine in. And as I was reading through it, I went, oh, this is really good. And then I got to the end and it stopped. And there were pieces to it that weren't finished. And so we haven't vetted that yet because I've been gone quite a bit. But I did go to my attorney, though. It gave me the opportunity to ask him the question, is this there? Or is it not there? Because the summary did not have it as a part of it. And so we're now vetting that through. My son has needed to do his estate planning. He's expecting a child. And so it was important for him to get his estate planning done. And he lives in the state of Michigan. There's something called a ladybird deed in the state of Michigan to transfer your properties upon death. That's an advantage. It's also in the state of Texas. When he got his documents back from wealth.com, it was not a part of it. So that's something that we need to continue to investigate. And that brought up the question, what other unique items are out there in the different states that we need to make sure that we're vetting through to make sure that the documents are in fact complete for clients. On the insurance side, we really have not gotten very far down that path. It's exciting. The TAD area of Thurston Springer is going to have property and casualty later this year. We have talked to a few local health insurance companies in our area that could help us. The Medicare insurance piece of the puzzle, all of our clients get there, and it's a challenge. How do they get through that? And so we're hoping that we'll be able to assist them in that area as well. So those are just some areas and some issues that we found associated with it. But we're trying to create kind of a family office type environment for our clients. We've also discussed travel as possibly another bucket, but we really haven't looked into that yet either. But
Yeah, we had that side conversation, and I've never actually, in all the years that I've worked with financial advisors, I've never had anybody think about bringing in that element of travel support, right? But that's what we help our clients do, is achieve that level in retirement that they can enjoy that
I always
part of
tell
life.
my
So
clients, you need to go. You need to travel. Do it while you can.
as Lee was
That's
saying,
fine.
right? How you can
You
spend
need
your
to
money.
go. And so I just thought, well, maybe we could help them go
It's another differentiator, and something that AI,
after they get their estate plan.
yeah, and something that AI isn't going to do for them, right? Exactly. Exactly. Thanks so much, Ed. And I, you know what, I would, you're again new to the family, but I think as you have as you've seen evidence throughout, we love to learn what other advisors are doing. I would love for us to stay connected, Mitch, and just understand your journey through wealth.com. I think there's something there that we might be able to help others learn from. So that's fantastic, guys. You know how grateful I am that you share your time and what you do with all of us. I think that wraps it up for now. So I will just say a thank you and follow up with any of these guys if you have questions afterwards. Okay.